Welcome back to Stamps Old World US. Today we are exploring one of the most recognizable and beloved postage stamps ever issued by the United States, the beautiful 3-cent Liberty stamp featuring the Statue of Liberty. Whether you are a beginner collector, an experienced philatelist, or simply someone interested in American history, this stamp has a fascinating story to tell. In this video, we will discuss its history, design, production, varieties, condition, rarity, and most importantly, its current market value in today's collecting market. Stay with me until the end, because I will also share some valuable collecting tips that could help you discover whether the copy sitting in your collection is worth just a few cents or much more. The stamp you are looking at is the famous United States 3-cent Liberty stamp. It features the iconic Statue of Liberty standing proudly with her torch held high, representing freedom, democracy, and hope. Above the statue appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," while the words U.S. Postage and the denomination of 3 cents are displayed atop. At the bottom, the word Liberty completes the elegant design. Even though millions of Americans once used this stamp for everyday mail, today, it remains one of the classic symbols of 20th century United States, Philately. This stamp was issued during a period when first-class domestic postage in the United States cost only 3 cents. During the 1950s, sending a letter across the country was affordable for nearly everyone. Millions of families, businesses, and government offices relied on these stamps every day. Because of this enormous demand, the United States Post Office printed hundreds of millions of copies. The high printing numbers mean that this stamp is generally common today, but that does not make it uninteresting. Instead, it provides an excellent opportunity for collectors to learn about stamp grading, printing varieties, and postal history. The Statue of Liberty is one of the most famous monuments in the world. It was a gift from France to the United States and has welcomed immigrants arriving in New York Harbor for generations. By placing this powerful symbol on a postage stamp, the United States celebrated the ideals of liberty and freedom that have become closely associated with the nation's identity. The simple yet striking design has made this issue one of the most recognizable American definitive stamps ever produced. The printing quality of this stamp deserves special attention. The deep violet color creates a beautiful contrast with the lighter portrait of the Statue of Liberty. Fine engraved lines give the design remarkable detail despite its small size. Collectors often admire the precision of the engraving, which allows even tiny details such as the folds of the robe and the rays of the crown to remain visible decades after printing. This level of craftsmanship is one reason engraved United States stamps remain highly respected throughout the philatelic world. One of the first things collectors examine is the centering of the design. A perfectly centered stamp has equal margins on all 4 sides. Poorly centered examples are much more common because of the high-speed printing methods used at the time. A perfectly centered copy with sharp perforations, bright color, and no faults can command a premium over an average example. Condition plays a far greater role in value than many beginners realize. Another important factor is whether the stamp is mint or used. A mint stamp has never been used for postage and still retains its original gum on the back. A lightly hinged mint example is generally worth less than a never-hinged mint copy because collectors highly value untouched original gum. Used examples usually show a cancellation mark from the post office. A light, clean cancellation that does not obscure the design is generally preferred over a heavy or messy postmark. Collectors should also inspect the perforations carefully. Missing perforation teeth, tears, thin spots, creases, stains, or short perforations can significantly reduce the value of a stamp. Even though this issue is common, collectors still seek examples in exceptional condition. Professional grading services can assign numerical grades to particularly well-preserved examples, and high-grade certified stamps often sell for many times more than ordinary copies. Now let us talk about today's market value, which is the question most viewers are waiting to hear. For an average used example with normal centering and an ordinary postmark, the current market value is generally between 10 cents and 50 cents in today's market. These are widely available from stamp dealers, online marketplaces, and collector exchanges. A clean mint hinged example usually sells for around $1 to $3 depending on its condition and centering. A mint, never hinged example with fresh original gum may sell for approximately $3 to $8. Exceptionally well-centered copies in superb condition can bring anywhere from $10 to $50 or even more if professionally graded with a very high numerical grade. Certified premium examples sometimes surprise collectors by selling for considerably higher prices because advanced collectors compete for the finest known quality. Plate blocks, full panes, and complete sheets of this issue can also be worth more than single stamps, especially when they remain in excellent condition with original gum. Collectors interested in production history often search for plate number blocks because they preserve information about the original printing process. There are also interesting varieties that collectors enjoy hunting. Printing shifts, unusual color shades, double impressions, paper differences, perforation errors, and other production varieties may be worth significantly more than ordinary copies. Genuine printing errors issued by the United States Post Office can command impressive prices depending on their rarity. However, these should always be authenticated by recognized experts before assigning a high value. Many beginners believe that every old stamp is automatically valuable simply because it is old. In reality, rarity, condition, demand, and authenticity determine value much more than age alone. This Liberty stamp is a perfect example. Although it is over half a century old, millions were printed, making ordinary copies affordable. At the same time, the very finest examples remain highly desirable among serious collectors. If you own this stamp, take a few minutes to inspect it carefully. Look at the centering, examine the perforations, check for bright original color, inspect the gum if it is mint, and note whether there are any unusual printing characteristics. Compare your stamp with certified examples if possible. Small differences can sometimes make a noticeable difference in market value. For those starting a United States stamp collection, this issue is an excellent addition. It is affordable, historically important, visually attractive, and easy to find in different conditions. It also serves as an ideal teaching stamp for learning about grading, perforations, cancellations, and printing methods. Many experienced collectors began their journey with common definitive stamps just like this one before moving on to rarer and more valuable issues. The demand for classic United States stamps continues through stamp shows, online auctions, dealer inventories, and collector clubs around the world. While common copies remain inexpensive, the market consistently rewards outstanding quality. As more collectors focus on certified high-grade material, premium examples continue attracting strong interest from buyers who appreciate exceptional preservation. Preserving your stamps correctly is just as important as acquiring them. Always handle stamps with stamp tongs rather than your fingers to avoid transferring oils to the paper. Store them in acid-free stockbooks or archival quality albums away from direct sunlight, humidity, and extreme temperatures. Proper storage helps maintain color, paper quality, and gum condition, protecting both the beauty and value of your collection for years to come. Whether this Liberty stamp is worth only a few cents or several dollars, it represents an important piece of American postal history. Every stamp tells a story, and this one tells the story of freedom, communication, and everyday life in the United States during an era when handwritten letters connected families, friends, and businesses across the nation. That historical significance is something no price guide can fully measure. Next up, the United States 8-cent Liberty stamp, featuring the iconic Statue of Liberty. This small stamp may appear ordinary at first glance, but it carries an important chapter of American postal history and remains a favorite among collectors around the world. In this video, we will explore its history, design, printing, collecting importance, current market value in US dollars, rare varieties, and expert collecting tips. Stay with me until the very end, because I will also explain what makes some copies worth only a few cents while others can sell for surprisingly high prices. The stamp shown here is the famous United States 8-cent Liberty definitive stamp. The design features the majestic Statue of Liberty standing proudly with her torch raised toward the sky, symbolizing freedom, democracy, and hope. Above the statue appears the inspiring national motto, "In God We Trust." The denomination of 8 cents is printed in the upper right corner, while the word Liberty appears boldly across the bottom. The attractive red and blue color combination gives this stamp a patriotic appearance and makes it one of the most recognizable Liberty issues produced by the United States Postal Service. This stamp was issued during the period when the domestic first-class postage rate had increased to 8 cents. Rising postal costs reflected economic changes taking place across the United States during the early 1970s. Millions of these stamps were printed because nearly every household and business relied on mail for communication. Long before email, text messaging, and social media, Letters were the primary way families stayed connected across the country. Every envelope carried a story, and this small stamp made those connections possible. The Statue of Liberty has always represented much more than a monument. For millions of immigrants arriving in New York Harbor, she represented the beginning of a new life filled with hope and opportunity. By placing this powerful symbol on everyday postage stamps, the United States reminded its citizens of the values of freedom and unity every time they mailed a letter. One of the most beautiful aspects of this stamp is its engraving and printing quality. The detailed lines capture the folds of Lady Liberty's robe, the rays of her crown, and the famous torch with remarkable precision. The soft blue background gradually fades into white around the statue, while the bright red torch creates an eye-catching contrast. Even though this stamp was produced in enormous quantities, its artistic quality continues to impress collectors decades after it was first issued. Because this was a definitive issue, the government printed hundreds of millions of copies over several years. That means most examples are considered common today. However, common does not mean worthless. The value of any stamp depends on several important factors, including condition, centering, gum quality, cancellation, rarity of varieties, and collector demand. When experienced collectors examine this stamp, the very first thing they notice is the centering. A perfectly centered example has equal white margins on all four sides. Many stamps were cut slightly off-center during production, making perfectly centered examples much harder to find. Superior centering can dramatically increase a stamp's value, especially if it has been professionally graded. The second factor is condition. A stamp with bright original colors, sharp perforations, and no creases, tears, stains, or thin spots will always be more desirable than one with damage. Even a tiny crease that is difficult to see can reduce the value significantly. This is why serious collectors carefully inspect every stamp under magnification before purchasing it. Collectors also distinguish between mint and used examples. A mint stamp has never been used for postage and still retains its original gum on the back. A mint never-hinged example is especially desirable because the gum has never been disturbed. Mint hinge copies generally sell for less because they show evidence of a stamp hinge. Used examples display a postal cancellation and are collected for their postal history as well as their design. A light, neat cancellation that does not cover the portrait is usually preferred by collectors. Now let us discuss the current market value of this stamp in today's collecting market. An average used example with normal centering typically sells between 10 cents and 50 cents, depending on its overall appearance. Dealers often have large quantities available because of the enormous number originally printed. A clean mint-hinged example generally sells for around $1 to $3. A mint, never-hinged example with fresh original gum usually sells between $3 and $8. Very well-centered examples with outstanding eye appeal may sell for $10 to $25. Professionally graded superb examples are a completely different story. If this stamp receives a very high numerical grade from a recognized grading service, collectors may pay anywhere from $50 to more than $300, depending on the grade and market demand. These premium prices are paid because truly perfect examples are surprisingly difficult to find, even among common stamps. Collectors should also watch for interesting printing varieties. Misaligned colors, dramatic shifts in printing, missing colors, double impressions, perforation errors, paper varieties, and other production mistakes can make an otherwise common stamp much more valuable. Genuine postal errors are highly sought after because they are far scarcer than normal issues. If you believe your stamp has an unusual variety, it is always worth having it examined by a professional expert before selling it. Another interesting area of collecting involves plate blocks and complete sheets. A plate block contains the plate number printed in the margin and is often more valuable than 4 individual stamps. Complete sheets preserved in excellent condition with original gum are especially attractive to collectors interested in postal production history. One of the biggest misconceptions among beginners is believing every old stamp is automatically valuable. The truth is that rarity, condition, demand, and authenticity determine value much more than age alone. Although this Liberty stamp is more than 50 years old, millions were printed. That keeps ordinary examples affordable while allowing collectors of all budgets to own an important piece of American postal history. If you have this stamp in your collection, take a few moments to inspect it carefully. Look at the centering, examine the perforations, check the brightness of the colors, inspect the gum if it is mint, and study the cancellation if it has been used. Compare your copy with certified examples whenever possible, because even small differences in quality can result in substantial differences in market value. This stamp is also an excellent choice for beginning collectors. It is inexpensive, historically significant, visually attractive, and easy to find. It teaches collectors how to evaluate centering, gum condition, perforations, cancellations, and printing quality. Many experienced philatelists started their collections with stamps exactly like this one before moving on to rarer and more valuable issues. The market for United States Liberty definitive stamps remains active today. Collectors buy and sell them through stamp shows, auctions, online marketplaces, stamp dealers, and collector clubs around the world. While ordinary examples remain inexpensive, premium quality material continues to attract strong competition among advanced collectors who seek the finest certified examples available. Proper storage is essential for preserving your stamps. Always handle stamps with stamp tongs instead of your fingers to avoid transferring oils onto the paper. Store your collection in acid-free albums or archival quality stockbooks. Keep stamps away from moisture, direct sunlight, excessive heat, and humidity. Proper preservation helps maintain color, paper quality, perforations, and original gum, ensuring your collection remains beautiful for generations. Whether your copy is worth only a few cents or several $100s, this 8-cent Liberty stamp represents an important era in American postal history. Every stamp tells a story, and this one reminds us of a time when handwritten letters connected families, businesses, and friends across the nation. It represents freedom, communication, and the enduring legacy of one of the world's most famous monuments. Next up, the beautiful United States 11-cent Liberty stamp, one of the most recognizable, definitive stamps ever issued by the United States Postal Service. Although millions of these stamps were printed and used on everyday mail, this small piece of paper tells an incredible story about American history, changing postal rates, and the enduring symbol of freedom. In today's video, we will explore the history behind this stamp, its artistic design, printing process, collector demand, current market value in US dollars, rare varieties, grading, and expert tips for identifying valuable examples. Make sure you stay until the end, because some copies of this common-looking stamp can be worth much more than most people expect. The stamp featured in today's video is the famous United States 11-cent Liberty stamp. It displays the majestic Statue of Liberty, standing proudly with her torch raised high toward the sky. Above the statue appears the powerful national motto, "In God We Trust," while the denomination of 11 cents is printed in the upper right corner. Across the bottom, the word Liberty is displayed in bold white lettering. The attractive combination of a bright red background and deep blue engraving creates one of the most striking designs in the Liberty Definitive series. Even after decades, this stamp continues to attract collectors because of its patriotic symbolism and elegant appearance. This stamp was issued during the 1970s when postal rates in the United States increased to 11 cents for first-class domestic mail. Rising inflation and increasing operating costs required the United States Postal Service to adjust postage rates. Millions of Americans purchase these stamps every day to send letters, greeting cards, business correspondence, and personal messages. Before email, smartphones, and social media transformed communication, handwritten letters connected families, businesses, military personnel, and friends across the nation. Every envelope carried a story, and stamps like this one made those stories possible. The Statue of Liberty has been one of America's greatest national symbols since the 19th century. Standing proudly in New York Harbor, she has welcomed millions of immigrants seeking freedom and opportunity. By placing Lady Liberty on a definitive postage stamp used by millions of Americans, the Postal Service honored the ideals of liberty, democracy, equality, and hope. Every letter mailed with this stamp carried not only postage, but also a reminder of those national values. The design itself is a masterpiece of simplicity and elegance. The portrait of the Statue of Liberty is beautifully engraved with fine, detailed lines that capture the folds of her robe, the rays of her crown, the tablet in her left hand, and the famous torch held high above her head. The blue engraving contrasts beautifully against the bright red background, making the central image stand out with exceptional clarity. Even though this was an everyday postage stamp printed in enormous quantities, the artistic craftsmanship remains impressive today. Like other definitive stamps, this issue was produced in extremely large numbers to satisfy nationwide demand. Because of its massive print run, most examples found today are considered common by collectors. However, that does not mean every copy has the same value. In Philately, the condition of a stamp is often much more important than its age. A perfectly preserved example can be worth many times more than an average copy. When experienced collectors examine this stamp, one of the first things they check is the centering. Centering refers to how evenly the printed design is positioned within the perforated borders. A perfectly centered stamp has equal margins on all four sides. During high-speed production, many stamps were cut slightly off-center, making perfectly centered examples relatively uncommon. Superior centering is one of the most important factors that increase market value. Collectors also inspect the perforations very carefully. Every tooth should be complete and undamaged. Missing perforation teeth, short perforations, tears, creases, folds, stains, thin spots, or heavy cancellations can significantly reduce the value of any stamp. Bright original colors and clean paper are always desirable because they indicate excellent preservation. Another important difference is whether the stamp is mint or used. A mint stamp has never been used for postage and still retains its original gum on the reverse side. Mint, never hinged examples are especially desirable because the original gum remains untouched. Mint hinged copies are still collectible but usually sell for lower prices because a stamp hinge has disturbed the gum. Used examples display a postal cancellation, and collectors generally prefer light, clean cancellations that do not cover the main design. Now let us discuss the current market value of this United States 11-cent Liberty stamp in today's collecting market. An average used example typically sells between 10 cents and 50 cents, depending on its overall appearance, centering, and cancellation. Because millions were printed, these stamps remain readily available through dealers and online marketplaces. A mint-hinged example generally sells for around $1 to $3, while a mint never-hinged copy with fresh original gum usually sells for approximately $3 to $8. Exceptionally well-centered examples with bright color and flawless condition may sell for $10 to $30. Professional grading can dramatically increase the value of outstanding examples. Certified stamps receiving very high grades from respected grading organizations sometimes sell for $50, $100, or even several $100s, especially if they are among the finest known examples. Advanced collectors compete for these premium quality stamps because truly perfect examples are surprisingly difficult to locate. Collectors should also pay close attention to unusual printing varieties. Color shifts, missing colors, dramatic misregistrations, double impressions, perforation errors, paper differences, tagging varieties, and other production mistakes can make an ordinary-looking stamp much more valuable. Genuine production errors issued by the United States Postal Service are considerably scarcer than normal stamps and often command strong prices at specialized stamp auctions. Plate blocks are another popular collecting area. A plate block consists of 4 or more stamps attached to the margin where the printing plate number appears. Collectors interested in printing history often pay premiums for attractive plate blocks with original gum. Complete panes and full sheets preserved in excellent condition are also desirable because they represent the stamp exactly as it left the printing press. Many beginning collectors mistakenly believe that every old stamp must be valuable simply because it has survived for many years. In reality, stamp values depend on rarity, condition, demand, authenticity, and market interest. This 11-cent Liberty stamp is a perfect example. Although it is an important historical issue from the 1970s, its large printing numbers keep ordinary copies affordable for collectors. However, premium quality examples continue to attract serious buyers who appreciate exceptional preservation. If you already own this stamp, take a few moments to examine it carefully. Look closely at the centering. Inspect every perforation. Check the brightness of the colors. Examine the gum if the stamp is mint, and study the cancellation if it has been used. Compare your stamp with certified examples whenever possible. small differences in condition may have a surprisingly large impact on market value. For new collectors, this stamp is an excellent addition to any United States collection. It is affordable, historically important, visually attractive, and easy to obtain. It also provides an excellent opportunity to learn the basics of stamp grading, centering, perforations, postal cancellations, gum condition, and printing varieties before investing in more expensive issues. The market for Liberty definitive stamps remains active around the world. Collectors continue buying and selling them through stamp shows, online auctions, dealer inventories, estate collections, and philatelic societies. While ordinary copies remain inexpensive, exceptional examples continue attracting competitive bidding because collectors are always searching for the highest quality material available. Proper preservation is essential for maintaining the value of any stamp collection. Always handle stamps with stamp tongs rather than your fingers. Store your stamps in archival quality albums or stock books made from acid-free materials. Keep your collection away from moisture, excessive heat, direct sunlight, and humidity. Proper storage protects the colors, paper, perforations, and original gum while preserving your collection for future generations. Whether your copy of this 11-cent Liberty stamp is worth only a few cents or several $100s, it remains an important part of American postal history. Every stamp tells a story, and this one reminds us of a time when handwritten letters connected people across the country. It represents freedom, communication, and one of the most famous monuments in the world. That historical significance is something every collector can appreciate regardless of its monetary value. Thank you for watching Stamps Old World US. Your support means everything, and I truly appreciate every viewer who joins me on this journey through the fascinating world of Philately. If you enjoy videos about United States stamps, rare varieties, postal history, stamp identification, expert collecting tips, and current market values, don't forget to subscribe to Stamps Old World US. Like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Every week we explore remarkable stamps from the United States and around the world, uncovering their history, rarity, and collector value. If you own this 11-cent Liberty stamp, let us know in the comments whether your copy is mint, used, part of a plate block, or perhaps even a rare variety. Your collection could inspire our next featured video. Until next time, keep collecting, keep preserving history, and remember that every stamp is a small window into the past, carrying with it a remarkable story that deserves to be remembered for generations to come.